Hey everybody, we are back after a hiatus in Homeschool Family
It was a
Bites.
short one, right?
Well, it seemed like a while.
Yeah. I know. We need to do better about this.
We,
We need to do these every single day,
that
and
could be a goal.
that's a goal.
That's
Oh
a-
my goodness! Look at what you did there.
I know, so clever. But actually, we got derailed because we were finishing the Heart School course, and it was just a big deal. So I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but I apologize for us getting off track. Heart School is out now. We're super excited, but it did kind of rock our world a little bit.
Well, and what we're going to talk about today is actually plays into Heart School, and it's actually kind of like peanut butter and jelly, right?
Really?
You like that?
No.
Okay.
It's not.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. So.
I wear the cute hat. He, not so much.
All right.
Anyway, today we're going to be talking about goals and why they're so important, how you get there. And actually, this is just kind of a teaser because we're going to have a podcast tomorrow where we really break out this content. And then we'll tell you about other ways to get it because this is really, really a big deal. And it all started for our family. I guess we've always known that we needed goals, but we really started talking in depth about goals when you read a book. How long ago was that?
I don't even know. I mean, I read so many books, but I mean, I was also in sales, and goals are a big part of that. And you start thinking about, if you're going to have goals to try to reach revenue numbers and that kind of stuff in a corporation or a business or an advertising agency or whatever, why wouldn't you have goals for your family?
Yeah.
And so I've always kind of thought this way. And you kind of have these priorities, you have these things that you want to try to achieve. And the truth is that if you set goals, 9 times out of 10, you end up making them. And so,
or at least you can see the progress that you're making, and that makes everything better.
Well, I think
even if it's a long-term goal.
I think one of the fallacies that we have is that we don't think that we have goals, even though we don't set them. And really, a goal is kind of like a direction, and you're always kind of moving. You're always moving in some direction, or you're not. And if you you have a huge desire for like comfort and security, you're going to head that direction.
Yeah.
And so everything in your life is going to revolve around comfort and security. And so even though you haven't stated that goal, that's what you want.
And you're practically living that out.
And you're practically living that out. And so you kind of build that out. And so why not intentionally set those goals?
Yeah.
And so one of the books that I read, which I will fully admit that I'm actually indebted to in pulling some of this out, is Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? And one of the elements of a really well-constructed goal is that it has 4 layers to it. It has a crazy layer. It has a concrete layer. It has a what you can control layer, and it has an everyday layer. And if you were to draw a diagram, it would probably be that would represent these goals. It would be a triangle. And at the top would be the crazy layer, and then you'd have the concrete layer, and then you would have the control layer, and you'd have the everyday layer, and everything would build on itself, and they would support one another. And so by creating your crazy layer of your goal, you are actually setting up a filter that builds as you go through, right? So the thing about a crazy layer, the crazy layer portion of your goal, is that
this crazy layer is the big dream, the
right.
end goal, what you desperately want to see.
It has to be something that you are emotionally invested in. It is something that you want more than anything in the world. And a lot of times, a crazy layer or crazy goal is going to be long term. It's going to be difficult to measure. It's going to be big by its very nature. And so it is something that is really hard to grasp. And that's where the concrete layer of your goal comes in, because it is representative of meeting that crazy goal. So if you meet this crazy goal, you're going to see these things are going to be evident. They're going to be things that you can touch and feel, and they're going to be measurable. You can see these things happening. And then the next layer is the control layer. There's things out of your control, but in the control layer, you're trying to bring as many things under your control as you possibly can. And the things that you bring under your control are meant to help you reach the crazy layer and the concrete layer. And then you have these habits that you end up putting in place as well that are like everyday habits. And the everyday habits are going to be things that you do every single day that are going to support the control layer, going to support the concrete layer, and going to support the crazy layer. So, I mean, let's talk about this in terms of let's pick a crazy layer.
Well, let's talk in terms of families.
Okay.
Because we're talking to homeschool families. So, as a homeschool family, what is one of our crazy layer goals to kind of make it a little bit more tangible?
Well, if you're a Christian, you love the Lord, you're a parent, you've had children, as soon as you see that baby in the hospital, you now have a calling. Right? You don't choose what that crazy layer is supposed to be. God's already given it to you. And he gave it to you in Deuteronomy 6, where he says to teach them diligently. Right? He wants you to teach that child about him. And it starts in Deuteronomy 6 and it goes all the way through Matthew 28. And so it is the Great Commission. And so it is about bringing your children to Christ.
That's right. And preparing them to go out and reproduce who they are
They'd
as
be
well.
reproducible believers,
there you go.
To multiply across the earth. That is what all this is about. And so what you are, and the other thing that's important about a crazy layer, right? The crazy goal is that you have to break it down into something that is really easy to remember. And so it's almost cliche. And I know that people don't really like taking spiritual things and putting it in a form of a cliche, but it's important in this because you got to be able to think about this often. It is like a filter that you push everything else through. So if your goal, right, your goal for that God has given you is to disciple your kids, for them to come to know the Lord at an early age, to become reproducible followers of Jesus Christ that serve the Lord, you may break something like that down into setting your children at Jesus' feet, right? Suffer the little children, come to me.
Yep.
So you break it down to something that is really easy to remember, right? I remember Camden had a bracelet that said, "I am second."
Yeah.
Kind of cliche, but it has a meaning to him, and he thinks about that. That's something that reminds him of who he's living for. And so it's something that he can look down at. It's something that is very easy to remember.
Right.
And so that is really important when you're talking about a crazy layer of your goal. So if you do something, Olympic athletes, right? They set the goal to win a gold medal maybe a decade before they're actually winning the gold medal, and it takes a long time for them to get to the point, and it's a lot to where they can win that gold medal, and a lot of times it comes down to like a few seconds of performance.
Point something of seconds.
Right. And they are having to train for years to get to that point. How do they stay on task? Well, they think about that gold medal in everything that they do. And everything that they have in their life, they push it through that filter.
Yeah.
And so you end up in a situation, for families, again, let's talk about your goal is to set your children at Jesus' feet. Well, every single thing in your life as a mom and as a dad has to play in to what that crazy goal is.
Right, and that's going to impact your daily decisions, your routines, your practical everything. That goal has to factor into that.
Absolutely, and it can factor into your marriage, right?
Oh, yes.
So if my goal is to set my children at Jesus' feet, then what does that mean for my marriage? What does that mean for the house that I live in? What does that mean about the city that I live in? What does that mean about the job that I have?
Church that you
What
go
does that
to?
mean about the church? What does that mean about the curriculum? What does that mean about the way we set up our days?
Yep.
What does that mean about the friends that we have that we allow into our house? What does that mean about the way we celebrate holidays? You could go on and on
Right.
and on and on. And what you're doing is that you're filtering everything through your life, in your life, through that filter of what is going to allow me to meet my goal of setting my children at Jesus' feet.
Yep. So tomorrow on the podcast, we're going to talk about the other layers and specifically how they all stack and can get you to setting goals. Not just that one, although should be everyone's, but all the other big goals that you would have for your family or your business or whatever it is. And honestly, this was a big reason why we have produced Heart School, is to help you see from a foundational level what your mission is as a homeschooler, as a Christian homeschool family, and how everything plays into that. So this really is tied in very neatly and very closely.
Well, you
to
spent
this
a
Heart
lot of
School
time
class.
talking about foundation when you're going through how do you homeschool, what are you doing when you're homeschooling, and you spend a lot of time going through foundation. What we're doing right now is we're talking about goals, which is actually module 1 of Heart School, and
It's
we're
a
giving
pre-module.
that's right, we're giving it to everybody for free. So
anyway, you can David has done an email series that I'll give you a link to sign up for that if you'd like to get that. So that's available for you if you want to read your way through it. It's also going to be on the podcast tomorrow. So make sure you check out teachthemdiligently.net/podcast, or better yet, grab it in the app tomorrow. If you haven't downloaded the app, I'll also give you a link to that in the comments so that you can get it. It's free and it has all of our content, all of 365, access to the Heart School course through a button, super easy, everything in the palm of your hand. Plus, if you're a 365 member, we have amazing messaging functions in there that's so cool. And my phone blows up all the time with the notifications from all the chatter that's going on. So you can get it that way and then be watching, because we're also going to put it in an ebook for you, so that we just feel like this is so important for families to really key into setting these goals. They give such direction to everything that you're doing. And the more direction that you have, the less you flounder, the less you are distracted, the less you're frustrated, and all of those things. So I can't encourage you enough. Jump into Heart School with us. Get that solid foundation. Jump into 365 with us. Let's lock arms and do this thing 365 days a year. Check out the podcast tomorrow, and then we'll just keep trying to give you information to help your family really thrive this year. That is our prayer for you, that you will become more like Jesus and pass that on to your children day by day.
that's right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye.